Hello and welcome to the Libraries Unlimited podcast. Today we are chatting with Essex Library Sarah and Beth to see what they've been getting up to over the last few months, including releasing a podcast. Louise from Exeter Library tells us all about online languages. We have an update from the Summer Reading Challenge, and our lightning book review is from Karen at the Hayridge Centre in Cullompton. Hi Callum, how are you?
I'm very well, Lee. How's it going over there in the land of St. Thomas?
Very nice. It's very nice to be back at the library. You can hear the echo in the room. I've laid out a bit of tape. I've been looking at how to do our new choose and collect service and pushing everything around, taking things upstairs out of the way and completely kind of rebuilding the inside of the library. It's been quite fun, actually.
Yeah, no, it is quite fun. It's like a perfect opportunity to kind of like just go crazy. Exeter Library is a little bit the same. Like we've had to create this kind of like huge open space. We've pushed loads of bookshelves around, and it still feels very Exeter Library, but you know, it's a little bit different. But
we've got a really interesting podcast ahead of us, haven't we, today? You discovered these people, so tell us about what happened and how you discovered them.
So my centre manager for the centre manager for Exeter Library, she's called Emily Macaulay, and she is very sort of patriotic about Essex, and because she still has kind of like her roots there, she got wind of this podcast from the Essex Library Service called The Only Way Is Reading. This would be really interesting to get them on because they are obviously, they're library people, but they're in a different kind of world. They still work for the council, whereas we work for a charity. But we're all going through lockdown. They're doing a podcast, we're doing a podcast. So I thought we'll get them on, we'll have a little chat and we'll see what's going on outside of Devon.
So you contacted them and listened to their podcast. It's pretty good, isn't it? Have you heard it?
I have. At the moment of recording, they've only got one episode out, but I thought it was quite interesting. It was very heavy focused on like reading. So I'd guess that the difference is that ours is focused on kind of like county news, more about the kind of service kind of theoretically or generally. Theirs was very much centered around the books. So they had a bit of like trivia, they had a bit of Q&A, and they had a few more presenters over there. I think they had 3. So they were able to kind of like share some interesting facts about the service, like who was the author that had the most borrows in the Essex Library Service and things like that. I thought it was pretty good. And if you want to hear about books, if you miss talking to members of staff about books, seems like a good place to go. Good. Hey Lee, do you want to go into the news?
Yeah, let's go there.
Hello, my name's Kate Mackenzie and I'm Service Development Manager with Libraries Unlimited. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Silly Squad, this year's Summer Reading Challenge. Silly Squad is a celebration of funny books and is a really fun way to keep your 4 to 11-year-olds enjoying reading throughout the summer holidays. Children can sign up to the challenge through our Devon Libraries and Torbay Libraries websites. And once signed up, they'll be able to meet all of the Silly Squad characters and they can access loads of fun stuff like games and activities. They'll earn virtual badges as a reward for reading books, and once they've read 6 books, they can download a special certificate. Those of you who've taken part in the Summer Reading Challenge before will know that we like to also reward all children completing the challenge with a special medal. And we're hoping that as our libraries reopen over the summer, children will be able to bring in their certificate to claim their medal. If you're running out of books to read at home, then lots of our libraries will soon be offering a choose and collect service. Plus, we've also increased the number of children's books available on our and audiobook platforms. So, if you haven't done it already, please sign your children up to the Summer Reading Challenge today and enjoy lots of great reading through the summer.
It's the Summer Reading Challenge, Lee! It's back!
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I love the Summer Reading Challenge. We get so many excited children through the door. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of people that join up and do their 6 books challenge, and they love it. And then we, personally, in this library anyway, we have a party at the end of the run, and we normally invite Rob Pudner, who's a fantastic entertainer from Entertainingly Different, yeah. And he is just a scream, and we have hundreds of kids in the hall, and they love it. It's one of our highlights of the year. I mean, it's intensive work for staff side to be getting on with, but I think that's going to be one of the things that this year I feel most sad about not doing properly, because
For the last few years I've been going out to the schools and doing the assemblies, and not doing that has been and just not doing that has actually been quite sad. When you go out and you do this big presentation and you play games with like a big school and there's like 400 kids looking at you, I used to just find that really fun and just.
Hola, guten tag, bon dia, buongiorno, hello. Do you like learning languages? Would you like to practice speaking in another language? Well, Exeter Library's online language cafes might be just the thing for you. You can practice your conversation skills in a friendly, informal online setting. And the sessions are just around half an hour long. So we currently have these cafes. Every Friday, Spanish Cafe at 2 p.m, ESOL Cafe at 4 p.m, every Saturday, Portuguese at 1, Italian at 2 p.m, fortnightly on Saturdays, German at 4 p.m. You'll find all the links on Exeter Library Facebook page or Twitter. Email us at Exeter Library if you have any questions. We look forward to seeing you there. Cheers! Adios! Arrivederci! Bye!
You speak any other languages, Lee?
I don't know. Klingon, maybe, on my day off.
On your day off?
Yeah, which means your book's late. Who was that, by the way?
That was Louise Tingle from Exeter Library. She does a lot of work with different languages. She's very, very knowledgeable about all that sort of stuff. And I don't know whether you noticed, but she knew definitely how to say hello in at least 2 languages at the beginning of that. So today we've invited 2 guests onto the podcast to talk about the library service that they run in Essex. We've got Sarah Moth, the Customer Partner and Outreach Engagement Lead, and Beth James, the Customer Marketing Optimization Officer.
So here we are then with Sarah Moth and Beth James. Hello both, how are you?
Hello, fine thanks, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you very much. So can I come to each of you individually and ask what you do at your library service? So Bethany, what do you get up to?
So normally I am in the marketing side of our library service. So we have a very, very large service. We have 74 libraries and 2 mobiles that we sort of do the marketing for. So predominantly I'm doing the social media. At the moment we are producing obviously our podcast. We're also producing sort of videos, so book reviews. I deal with the adult side, and then we also have a children's side as well that are doing rhyme times and craft times and story times. Yeah, things like that. At the moment, it's a completely strange job role, completely different to kind of how we started it, obviously with the changing circumstances. But yeah, so mainly kind of the marketing and making people fall in love with libraries, basically.
A very, very important job. Sarah, what is it that you do?
Well, my job title is Customer Partner Outreach and Engagement Lead, which is a bit of a mouthful. But if I tell you, it used to be called the Reader Development and Access Manager, it probably gives you a better idea of what I do. So I'm in charge of things like the service development side. So it's trying to encourage people to read more, making sure our libraries are accessible, making sure that we sort of cover things like Pride Month and Black History Month. Every year there's an Essex Book Festival, so I have some involvement in that. So very diverse and interesting role, and do some support on the sort of the comms side that Beth does. So, with the social media and our newsletters. And during lockdown, it's all been very different, been doing lots of different things. But one of the first things we did was sort of beef up our online offer, and we sort of started developing the podcast and our video content.
So what is it that you are doing with your podcast to try and reach out to people that normally probably wouldn't listen to this sort of thing?
Well, the reason that we sort of thought of doing the podcast is because everyone's in lockdown. It's potentially can be very lonely depending on your situation. So some people might be very isolated. Some people might find it stressful. Some people might be avid readers who are used to using our service a lot, but obviously all our buildings were shut. So what's going to happen once you've read those 4 books you've got out on your library ticket? What are you going to do? At the time when we started developing it, all the bookshops were shut. So it was an idea of how people could carry on reading, how we could support them, how we could say, this is a way of boosting your mood. You might be sitting in your house alone, but actually you can escape into a book. There's lots of sort of health and well-being benefits to reading. And at the beginning of lockdown, I was reading a book, and it was set, I think it started in Berlin, then it went to the Amalfi Coast, then it went to New York. You can sort of completely escape your surroundings and sort of forget about everyday life, really. So that was the idea of sort of helping people to continue reading. And our stock manager was busy buying lots of ebooks and e-audio. So we wanted to talk about the experience of how you can continue reading, how you can read an ebook instead, even if you've never read one before, or how you can listen to a book. So that was the main reason, really. Would you agree, Beth?
Yeah, definitely. So I think we really wanted to create sort of a community space. I think people were really missing being able to sort of walk into a library and speak to a member of staff about book recommendations. So this was a way of kind of putting a voice behind those recommendations and actually getting real, genuine stories out there.
On a kind of a broader scale, Beth, I mean, you're obviously marketing. So how do you market the podcast outwards? And have you had any kind of response back or any quality feedback and that sort of thing?
So yeah, we've had quite a lot of really, really positive feedback. We market it. Obviously, we use social media. We've got wide e-newsletters that go out to all types of library users. We also have county-wide newsletters that we use as well to try to kind of boost how many people can learn about it. Because I think one of the things we were really keen on doing was making the podcast available to people that don't actually use the library. So the content in there is accessible to anybody, even if they don't know about libraries or Essex libraries, they can still enjoy the content. So we work really closely as well with Essex Book Festival. So every year throughout March, we have a huge book festival that goes on. We have loads of events. So we work quite closely with them and they have helped us promoting. Again, it's just getting the audience that will love the content, but they might not necessarily already come to the library to find that content.
Yeah, so interviewing some authors and things like that?
Yep, absolutely. We, in our next episode, actually, we've been talking to Louise Hare, she had a debut novel that came out earlier this year. And then we've also got an interview with Helen Lederer coming up, and she is the founder of the Comedy Women in Print Award. So yeah, we've got some really, really interesting sort of stories and guests coming on, so it's going to be really good.
With libraries then, I mean, in general, let's go back to the beginning with you two, because I'm always interested in why people work in libraries. I came from a music background, but I ended up working in libraries for certain reasons. So Sarah, what was why did you go into libraries?
When I was at school, I wanted to be a journalist, and then I did my work experience when I was about 15 or 16 at 2 local newspapers, and I discovered that I wasn't cut out for the word of journalism. So when I went to university, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I went to the careers service when I was in about the 3rd year and said, look, this is the sort of person I am, this is what I enjoy, and I like the sort of element of research in journalism, and I thought there might be some kind of research job I could do, but they came up with librarianship, and I was delighted. I just thought, oh, that's good, that seems like a real solution, and that's what I've done. I did a year at an academic library, and then I did my postgraduate library qualification, and then apart from career break to raise my children, I've worked in libraries, firstly academic, and then since going back when my second child went to school, I've worked at Essex Libraries and had a very interesting career since. So yeah, love libraries.
I do find it interesting that people have worked in libraries for a long time, like I've worked for 30 years in libraries. It's one of those jobs that you get the bug and you don't want to leave. And some people have left, but they keep coming back to the job. It's a very small percentage of people that work in libraries don't like it and then leave. How about you, Beth?
So I've only actually been in libraries for a year. I mainly I worked in retail, and then I went to university and I did creative and professional writing. So I write novels and short stories. And originally my plan was to go into publishing. And when I left university, there were no jobs. Nobody wanted to hire a brand new graduate into a publishing house. So I got a job in my local library. I thought it's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm going to be surrounded by books and literature and all people that love the same things as me, and it's going to be great. And then I'm moved into the marketing side of the libraries, and I've actually completely fallen in love with this side of the literature world. I think it's such a really strong community, and everybody really, really wants to work hard to help everyone else. So I think that's sort of what's drawn me now to wanting to stay in the library service, so that I can just sort of share my career with like-minded people. But yeah, I think it is the energy in the community, and the idea that kind of writing and reading can actually just bring people together. They can be completely opposite cultures, they can live opposite sides of the world, but if they've read the same book, then they have something in common and they have something to talk about. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, really.
It is. That's the power of book groups as well, isn't it? I presume you run book groups in your service. Is that continuing? Has that continued during lockdown? Are there different ways of doing this?
No, we have. That's something that was an aspiration that we haven't really managed to do much with, because a lot of our information was held locally in filing cabinets and things like that. So, but we've had to reach out online to people. But we have got with the Essex Book Festival, we are having a virtual book group event in a couple of weeks with the author Louise Hare. She's talking about her book, This Lovely City, with the African and Caribbean book group, who are based at Chelmsford Library. As library buildings open, obviously things aren't going to be as they were. We're not going to be able to be a centre for the community and physical social events. So that's something that's still on the list, and we hope we'll do, to go alongside with the offer of the buildings. We'll still be sort of having a larger online offer as well.
How have you guys survived during lockdown?
So originally we actually had quite a dormant YouTube channel that had a few videos that were kind of sitting on there, weren't getting that many views. And when lockdown happened, we thought videos are something that we can actually really be using as a way of talking directly to our customers. So we've really built up our YouTube channel quite significantly. And I think one of the most amazing things is that we've managed to keep contact with our library staff as well, who are obviously at home now. And we put out a big call to them all and said, would you be able to send in a few videos of you doing a book review or doing a rhyme time? And we had such an amazing response. And very, very, very quickly, we actually managed to start production of these videos and to start getting them out within a matter of weeks, which, library services don't tend to move very, very, very quickly. But we have actually managed to really adapt to the situation and start providing a service and changing the way that we deliver these things to our customers in actually a really, really short amount of time, actually. And I think our staff have had so much to do with that. I mean, without them, we definitely would not have been able to continue this as well as we have.
It's been difficult because I was chairing a loneliness forum, which was meant to be happening quite soon after lockdown happened. And I sent out, a thing saying, won't be able to have it, but perhaps we could share what we're doing to address loneliness. It was obvious that people weren't actually still managing to work from home. And I think that's with our library staff, a lot of them were at home and they were thinking, well, there was nothing they could do. So if they didn't have a laptop. So they were absolutely so pleased when they could make these videos and send them in. People who work in libraries, as we said before, they're very committed. There's a lot of love for libraries. And we felt that when we got all these videos in, there was a lot of love coming with these videos for libraries and a lot of love from the staff wanting to do things. We have I don't know what you do in Devon, but we have a load of baby and rhyme times. And some of our big libraries have them several times a week and they're absolutely packed. And we did a big study on maternal health a couple of years ago, and about how it really helps with maternal health, them coming to the rhyme times. So it's all those sort of community things that libraries do, And by doing the videos, you felt like you were in some way replicating it. And so when we were putting them out on our social media or in our newsletter, having felt the love coming from the staff one way for the libraries, we then felt the love coming back from the public, because they were just really pleased to, can't replace a rhyme time when you go and you meet and you chat and everything and go out for a coffee afterwards, but it felt like it was some kind of normality. I think it's something that some things will have changed, like the Essex Book Festival. We had to cancel a lot of events in March, but then we are slowly sort of turning those events into sort of virtual things. And I think next year when the festival do their events, it will have changed. You can reach different people with these sort of virtual events than you necessarily would have been able to engage with these events previously. So I think some good will have come out of it in a strange way, because we'll be doing things in a different way.
Do you see that carrying on once you reopen in the future? I mean, say like all the videos.
We definitely want to carry on with the adult book reviews that we've been doing, because they've been really popular and people have engaged with those. And the rhyme times will carry on, because, as I just said, it's a way of people that wouldn't normally be able to get to those sessions being able to join in. We definitely want to carry on the podcast. We've only released one episode so far, but so far we've, it's resulted in us talking to you today, which has been great. So we're really hoping.
It's very good. All listeners should go and have a listen.
So we're really hoping that's something that will carry on, because we've got big plans, haven't we, Beth, for that? Lots of episode ideas.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so how about any good news stories from your service?
I think we've already said a lot of it, really, how quickly things turned round, and how much people engaged with our new content. I think that's been a good news for us.
I implore anybody out there who's a listener and a borrower of books to bring those good news stories to the library, because we not only really actually need them because they're quite useful, but it's also just really heartening to know that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, it is really nice when you get those messages on social media, or we've got like an inquiry form on our website. Sometimes we get some lovely feedback from there, and it's really nice. We always share it with everybody.
Yeah, it really gives you that boost, doesn't it? Because you think, oh, that that work we're putting in, it is making a difference, and people are, it is benefiting somebody, even if, like you said, Lee, even if it's just that one person, you think it was worth it. Absolutely, it was worth it now. Yeah,
and I always believe that one person probably echoes another percentage of people that just haven't gotten around to writing to you as well. You have to think positively that way, and that's how the good news spreads about how great libraries are. Okay, so is there anything else you want to tell us about? How about the Summer Reading Challenge? I mean, obviously you enjoy that every year. There's quite a lot of involvement going on with the Summer Reading Challenge, and it's very different this year. How are you going to present that to your customers?
We always think of the Summer Reading Challenge as our Christmas, because that's when we get, so many people coming into the libraries, and we go out to loads of assemblies and promote it in schools, and it's just lovely. And it never changes. Children always love to get stickers. They always love to see the new books we buy. So this year, obviously, it's all got to be done a bit different. It's all going online. But our children's manager really wanted to try and do something for children who don't have computers or don't have Wi-Fi at home. So she bought, I think, about 2,000 sort of physical packs. And then they've been doing some work, sort of outreach work, to target who's going to benefit from those most. So she's been working with food banks, some women's refuges, some sort of like those holiday meal clubs and things like that. So they're going to, for those children who won't have the benefit of having a computer at home and being able to do the challenge, then they'll be able to do the challenge like they normally would do with the physical materials. So yeah, it'll be different, but hopefully children will still engage with it.
Well, it looks like we're running out of Zoom time. So I thought we'd end with, we do a 1-minute book review. So how about we do something similar but not too intensive? If I ask you both what the last book is you read and how you felt about it, and then we'll give you about 30 seconds to tell us as much as you want about it. Okay, then Bethany, off you go. What was the last book you read?
So I'm reading the Kill the Queen, which was challenged to us. So at the moment we're doing a book bingo challenge. So on our podcast, we're having to pick a category out, and then we have to read a book based on that category. So the category that I picked, or we picked last time, was Great First Line. So that led me on to reading Kill the Queen, which is a fantasy novel. And I love fantasy anyway, but it's really, really interesting. It's about a girl who is the last surviving member of the royal family after a massacre, who is now gone into hiding with the gladiator troops. It's very dramatic, but it's a really lovely read. It's high energy.
Brilliant. That was great. How about yourself, Sarah?
Well, I've just finished reading Normal People by Sally Rooney. I read it when it first came out, and then I watched the TV, and I, like a lot of people, became obsessed. And so I suggested it to my book club, because we've still been meeting via Zoom. So we just reviewed it on Sunday, and it was one of those books that I just enjoyed it more the second time. And I think it's of a book when you read it and you don't want to then start reading another book straight away, because you just want to stay in that universe of that book. That's how I felt when I finished it. But I'm about to start listening to, because I haven't got a physical copy of this, Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo, because that's my next book club discussion book.
Fantastic. Listen, it's been really lovely to talk to you both, Bethany and Sarah, and good luck with the podcast and everything else, and we'll keep in touch.
Definitely.
And take care. See you soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's time for the Lightning Review.
So, hello everyone. Welcome to the famous segment, the Lightning Book Review segment. Today we have a very special guest, somebody who I used to work with at Columpton Library. We've got Karen Siely with us. How are you doing, Karen? What's up?
Good morning, Callum. I am absolutely fine, thank you. I have very fond memories of working with you at the Hayridge, I have to say.
Oh, well, that's good. Yes, Karen and I used to work at the Hayridge Centre together. I sort of moved on, went to Exeter, but Karen, you're still holding down the fort. How is the place like? Is there anything new going on there?
Well, yes, there's some very exciting developments have happened during lockdown. So we've had some physical changes. So it's a project that you yourself were quite heavily involved with, and it's going to come to fruition. So when we open under the new normal, we're going to have a little bit of a different look.
No, that sounds great. Oh, so hopefully the people of Columpton will like it. It will create a bit more space in there and also give a few more tables and chairs to the cafe. But you are here, Karen, to do the Lightning Book Review today. Now, you told me earlier on that you've heard all the other Lightning Book Reviews. Does that add pressure, or does that make you feel relaxed? Like, how are you feeling about this?
I think it makes me feel quite relaxed about it, actually.
Quite
yeah.
chilled. Good. Well, you've always had a level head. You're always able to handle pressure relatively well, well, and and you know your stuff about books. So I'm expecting big things. I'm expecting this to be the best one yet. All right.
Well, time will tell, Callum.
Okay. So here we go. Lightning Book Review time. The book that I would like you to review is One Moment by Linda Green.
Okay, give me a second to just refresh my memory on that one. Okay, yes, I do remember this. One moment. Oh, it's quite emotive, this book. So it touches on a lot of serious issues. So it's written from the perspective of a young lad named Finn, and he's different. And as quite a few of us will appreciate, different people do struggle to get on in our society sometimes. So he struggles at school, he gets bullied, and he's really unhappy because all his friends like football, he likes gardening. His absolute hero in life is Alan Titchmarsh, which I thought was quite funny. And one day he meets a lady called Kaz, and she's an older lady, and she's lovely. She's really empathetic, and she sort of understands the struggles that he faces up to on a daily basis. Then something.
Well, I don't know whether you can hear that, Karen, but that was 1 minute. I'm going to have to cut you off there. That was 1 minute.
How quickly does a minute go?
I know, it disappears. It sounds like you had a lot more to say about that book. Did you enjoy it?
I did. I really did. Yeah. As I say, it touches on some serious issues, and leaves you feeling, quite hopeful in the end.
Good.
But
So that was One Moment by Linda Green. Well, Karen, thank you very much for coming on and doing the Lightning Book Review. I wish we could have heard another minute from you, but that's just simply not the rules. We simply cannot allow any more than just a minute.
You know me, talk for England.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There are other members of staff who could talk a bit longer, but that's fine. Karen, it's been great catching up. It's been great seeing you again. And we'll see you again soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye.
So that was Karen Siely. I thought she did very well, and there were no mistakes, or there may have been mistakes. No. It's difficult to tell when we haven't heard it yet because we haven't recorded it.
This is the magic of podcasting. We're now recording this banter after a segment you haven't yet recorded.
I know.
It hasn't happened like that before. This is the first time this happened. So let's do this in a way that we have heard it and see if we can try and fudge our way through it. No one's going to know. All right, are we ready? Okay.
Well, I thought Karen did very well there. She had a little bit of a hiccup halfway through, but she managed to power through it. I thought that her insight into the chosen novel was incredible. It was almost moving. What did you think, Lee?
Well, I love the Gruffalo, so she did a really good job.
Lee, I think that's the end of another wonderful episode of the Libraries Unlimited podcast. What are we doing next week, Lee? Well, I'll tell you, we're talking to Rachel G., the Rural Service Delivery Manager, who is in charge of the mobile library service in Devon, and she's going to walk us through what that means.
Surely you mean to say drive us through, no?
Oh, sorry, that was a joke. I just didn't pick up on the fact that was a joke. I was like, we're going to go back and re-record that then.
It's fine. I'll get my coat.
Bye, Lee.
Bye. You've been listening to the Libraries Unlimited podcast. Thank you. If you would like any more information about our services or up-to-date news, then please go over to the websites. That's devonlibraries.org.uk and torbaylibraries.org.uk. And we'll see you again next week. Bye.